everyone, how are you today? I've got the next bag or box of my Annie's crocheted Afghan, Seaside Sampler Afghan, what is it, 3 strips each month I get. So this is month 6. It's going to be 16, I think, strips 16 through 18. Let's see what we have today. I think there's no real no real surprises now with the colors we're working on. So this is, I should know these by now. This is Spa and Cappuccino. I really like that color. And this one is Seafoam. I always think this is Seafoam. So there's the colors. And I can go ahead and take out some of the old colors. I keep some extras in there. Oh. And put the new ones in the yarn basket. I will say last month I had a bit of a start in that it was calling for some colors from the month before or leftover from previous months. And I had a panic if I was going to have enough, but it worked out fine. So the last 3 rows, let me get a little closer, are this one, this multicolored one, and the last one, which is just a single crochet background, but with like a cross stitch in it. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I thought I would show that one. Oh, there we go. I thought I would show that one today. So you can see there's the back. So, you know, the back looks okay. It's nothing messy or anything about it. And the front. And when I was reading the instructions and watching the video, I had a little bit hard time to decide where you exactly went into. So I'm going to show you what I did, and it just made it so much simpler. And it looks just fine. And that reminds me, if you have or are getting these monthly bags or packages, in your little instruction pamphlet, there's a website to go to, and there's a video stitching every single strip in this, or videos, every single strip in this Afghan. So you don't even have to read the instructions. You can just follow along. They're very concise and up close and easy to understand. You can stop the video, play it over, and they did the videos in sections. So one set of videos will go with stripes, which is the next one, 16 through 18, and those videos will be inside, or that video will be inside of that. And she goes through and stitches and shows you stitching or crocheting every single strip. So, I mean, even from every time there's a color change, she goes through it. So it really is nice to have. So this month is 16 through 18. And let's see if we can see. Got to keep it towards the light here. There we go. You can see there's a little more lace work and some different stitches. So it is side saddle stitch, Suzette stitch, and then it says special stitch. So everything's clear. But again, if you're not good with the instructions, you can just totally set the instructions inside and use and watch the videos. So let me give you one more close-up of this. Was let me see, this is what, 16. So this is 13 through 15. So 13, 14, and 15. So let me get my little sample together. I'm going to go ahead and and do the single crochet a few rows so I can show you how easy this little cross stitch is to do. And you can add it to anything that you're working on. If you want to have a little second color, just a little bit, it's a perfect thing. So I'll be right back. So here's the stitch that we're going to work on today, because it's really easy. It's not a crochet stitch. It would be the X's going across. So it's a simple, like a little cross stitch with your yarn. And it's done on a single crochet. And in this case, there's three single crochets. So you do the X on the middle one, so you have a point of reference. So let's get started. So I've already done my single crochet on my little sample piece here. So you can easily see there's three like ridges or rows that you can see easily. See how you can see each one. So we're going to work on this middle one. And I'm going to, in the kit, or if you're crocheting yourself, you always have I call it a tapestry needle, but this is probably too big for that, so I'm going to call it my yarn needle, because it has a giant hook. And I need a piece of yarn that's a contrast to this. And boy, if you can't thread this needle eye, you're in big trouble. So I just fold my yarn in half rather than try to stick an end through. And that just works much easier, because if you try to stick the end through and then a couple threads don't go through, you know that whole story. Oh, hold the wrong one. So I'm going to have a shorter piece and my longer piece. And don't worry about having enough to go all the way across, because this is easy to add more yarn on and just tie it on the back and hide those the ties. So that's pretty easy. So let's see, I'm trying to stand so I'm not in your, oh, that's my shoulder. So I'm not in your way. So I'm not going to start at the very, very edge. I'm going to come in a little ways, and I'm going to come into, you can see, well, if I don't have my hand in the way, see those little holes? And you can see them if I keep my hands out of the way. See the little holes? So we're just going to work with those. To me, it's much easier. So I'm going to come in at the bottom, and I'm going to pull it through, and remember to leave a bit of a tail, enough that you can tie off, because what we're going to do is we're going to go down the row and then back up the row. And if you do have one piece of yarn, you're going to tie your other end to the starting end, your finishing end to the starting end. I got to keep my shoulder out of the way, so I'm going to be at a little bit of a angle here. And what I'm going to do is, I think if I put my hand behind it, it's worse. So here I am here. I'm going to come up and I'm going to count over 2. So 1, there we go, 1, 2. And I'm just going to go right in there. And you can see the needle just drops right through that hole. So there's no worry about splitting the yarn or anything like that. Let's make sure it's not too big. There we go. And then I'm going to come back in straight down from that, or you're going to count the second hole. There, can you see my needle? Let me bring the needle up a little bit. There, now you can see if I put my hand behind me, I keep blocking. There we go. So see, you can see I skipped a hole, went to the next one, but it's right vertically down from the one I just went into. And you're not don't pull it tight, because if you pull it too tight, you'll squish the stitches in. Then so here's where I came in last time. So I'm going to count 1, 2, which all that means is there's a hole in between each place that I put the stitch in. And trust me, it really is easy. Then I'm going to come straight down from there, which is the same as leaving an empty hole on the bottom edge. And I'm just going to keep going. And again, if you're not sure when you come straight down, there's the empty hole right there. And I'm going to the next one. You know, sometimes our stitching can be a little crooked. So I'm trying to do it without my shoulder in your way. There we go. So I'm skipping the hole, going to the next one. So it's pretty easy. The instructions to me were a little harder to figure out where I was going. Well, maybe I wasn't understanding it. And I just thought, well, I can see those holes, so I'm going to work with those. And that may be what their instructions were saying, but I remember being a little bit confused. So I'm just going to keep going, take my time. Now, if you're thinking, well, let me put it through a few holes and then pull it, well, you could do that, but sometimes I find that you tend to pull too hard. Like if I went 3 down, I'm pulling hard, this guy will get crimped up, and let me hold my finger on this one here. If you pull it too much, you see how it just won't lay flat anymore. So you want to make sure it stays flat. And when you're doing this, there we go, I'll do it this way. When you're doing this not on the camera, it's pretty easy because you can just hold it in your hand. And when we're done, I'll show you the back. So again, I'm not always sure. 1, 2. You also can see there's a little stitch that's vertical. You see it right there by my thumb right here. See that that's right, there's the hole right there. So you can always watch for that stitch. But I find, for me, if I eyeball straight down, it might not be right straight down. So there is hole 1 going in hole 2. And then it really will be straight. Oh, did I forget to come back? Yep, I did. I came from the wrong. I've got myself mixed up here now. So let me pull this back out. I've got my yarn. Oops, see, I came through the middle of my yarn. Oh, sorry. Well, now I got a big goof up. So let's do this, because these things will happen. So let me, before I end up making a big knot, there I go. Now I can just, again, when I thread my needle, I just fold my yarn in half, kind of pinch it, and run it through. Leave enough for a tail. Okay, I came through from the front instead of the back. Here we go. And let me just do one more. So wherever you start on one end, you want to leave that same amount of room on the other end. 1, 2. And we're going to end by being in the back. And now we're going to go back across to make our X's. So I'm going to come up. This would be the same exact place as if I was continuing on. So it's the second hole from where I stitched last. And now I'm just going to be going back into the same holes as I used coming across from left to right. So I don't have to count anything. I'm doing this from upside down, so bear with me. So I'm coming back in to the same hole that I used before. And I'm going in. Oh, sorry. in to the same hole from before. So if you get yourself straight this way, coming back is going to be easy. And see how the X's are starting to form. So let me get myself out of your way again. And now my little tail is getting longer than my strand. I keep wanting to go way over here. Can you see where my needle is? But you've got to remember, you want to be touching the last X that you did, the last cross that you did. And my last one. And let me just put my needle away. And so there we are. And when you look at the back, it's nice and neat on the back. And you would just tie these two. Don't tie them too tight now. And you can go ahead and bury your yarn in some stitches. But you see, so if you wanted it to look this way, and this kind of reminds me, if you want it to look this way and you wanted to run a ribbon through that, you could do that, you know, in and out, however, or all the way across. And then here's the front. Oh, sorry. So there we go. So if you got your little practice piece and you're just, you know, kind of collecting stitches, there's the latest one. Remember, it's three rows of single crochet, and your X is going in the middle one. Now, obviously, you could do more rows and you could do more X's, and you might want to, on the next, if you did another row, you might want to start it in the holes, lining up with the holes you didn't use in this one. In other words, you'd be lining up with this hole, so your next row would be alternate. But there, whoop, let me get in the right place here. There we go. So there we are. There's your X's. There's the back, which is, you know, pretty neat too. So there we are. So that's our stitch for this time. So see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.